These are in listen-only mode.
Hi, I'm already in. Hello, gang. I don't know what happened there that we got kicked out, but I am back and I will tackle that question here momentarily. Actually, when you get in getting kicked out, um,
Good. How are you?
we can hear you guys, just to be clear.
I am. Yes. I am. I'm in.
There we go. Actually, gang, that was just my team. Somehow something went a little bit goofy there. My team was just getting on. So, welcome for those of you who are here and logging in and all of those fun, wonderful things. Some of you may have to relog in, unfortunately. What I just want to let you know is we are just at the pre-live training, perfect positioning. This is the Q&A session. I'm here to be of service to you, answer any questions that you have related to your mastermind and all of those pieces. So if you put your questions in, I will answer them as fast and as quickly as I possibly can. Yes, it crashed. That is the truth. Thanks, Mary. I appreciate you getting back in. Did you have to relog in, or did it just restart for you? All right, Mila, you had to relog in. Okay. So Mila, your question has disappeared, but I do remember it. So the what I want to let you know about is that the question I heard was an online course, and I'm wondering about adding a mastermind to it, and how would I do that and add the value? And if I have articulated that close, there we go. I'm trying to figure out how to position this added value to make more. Fantastic. Okay, so I am a huge fan of having online content that also leads and reinforces to a mastermind program. So I actually do that with the program that we're in the midst of letting people know about, which is the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp. That is a basically a six module 90-day program that we step people through the process of the foundation of learning what it takes to launch a mastermind. So we give them contracts, all of these pieces. It's really fantastic. But there's a lot of people who want that content in an accelerated form. And in an accelerated form, I actually offer something called the fast track mastermind, which is an 8-week weekly mastermind, small group of people where I help people to actually consume the content in a faster way, customized to what pieces they have in place and what pieces that are missing. So we just do that for 8 weeks on a weekly basis, and they get a special facilitator training program as well. In terms of that's one of the weak links for many people who are running masterminds, and that is the added value proposition. And instead of the program being $19.97, they get both the online program and the additional support, and we bundle that together for approximately $5,000. So you can absolutely add additional resources, and it's important to, and this is a lesson that I think is really important. It's important to note that when you're bundling these things, is that you want to do it in a way that really serves and supports the people who are asking for it. And what I mean by that is that um, the fast track, the whole purpose of the fast track is to help people consume and have access to the content and the important aspects of the content in a faster way, where they don't have to get bogged down going through every single module, every single handout, every single form. They get to actually rely upon me, my expertise, my community, and one another in the mastermind group to actually consume the relevant parts of the content in a faster, more productive manner. So I hope that answers that question, Mila. If you have anything else, feel free to type your question in there, and I will answer it as fast and directly as I possibly can. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of people logging in again. Hey, gang, we got a couple minutes left. We are at the pre-live training Q&A. The training that we're going to focus on today is perfect positioning, you, your group, your mastermind, and your business model, and help people really build a structure and a process that makes sense to them and their offers. Now, if you have any question related to that entire process, feel free to type it in, and I will let you know. So Don was just saying, so what's the difference between the fast track and what you got? There's a series of additional bonuses and processes, one of which is weekly calls with me and a small intimate group of people, as well as a 2-day facilitator training program that happens prior to the Mastermind to Millions live, as well as a 3-day mastermind of a mastermind of mastermind leaders. So there's a whole bunch more one-on-one attention to get the mastermind up and running fast, and as well additional in-depth training in terms of facilitating. That answered the question. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. All right, gang, it is 1:59. If you have a fast question, I am happy to answer it for you. See how this might apply for you, your business, and your processes. By the way, my dear wife made me a cappuccino. I'll do my best to make sure that I don't have cappuccino foam all over my face. How can we create a beta mastermind group to practice our facilitating skills as well as test things out? Don, I love that question. In fact, years ago when I was launching something called the creation circle model, is that I did exactly what you're suggesting, which was I wanted to beta test training other leaders to deliver my content. And so we just sent out a note saying, this is what we're doing, and we're going to beta test this process. And we want you to participate in telling us what works and what doesn't work and where we can strengthen, how that'll work. We rolled it out at an incredibly low price point, which is only $97 a month. It was a personal development process. The structure was 4-hour meetings once a month, led by my mastermind mentors. And that process went really well. In a very short span of time, we had 40 groups up and running, testing that process all across the board. It was really exceptional. Okay. Online or in person? Don, in that structure, we used absolutely both. We used both. All right, gang. Here, oh, not quite. Any experience with masterminds with busy doctors? They requested calls but have a high conflict rate. Yes. So David, that is an interesting process, and they do have a high conflict rate. And I don't know which doctors you're targeting, but I do know this. One of the easiest and most, fast to fill masterminds are masterminds that are aimed at the same profession but different geographic areas. So dentists, chiropractors, those sorts of things with specializations. And because if you have a little bit of consulting experience to serve and support them to grow their business, and they can call upon one another for best practices, but not actually be in a position where they're concerned about competition, it's really exciting. All right, gang. So on that note, we are going to roll. It is 2:00 and I see a whole whack of people logging on. Gang, we just wrapped up the pre-live training Q&A. This is Jay Fazette. It is my privilege and pleasure to share with you perfect positioning. And what perfect positioning is a little segment, a little bit of content from my program, the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp. Now, I know from people who have been in conversation with my team and all the rest of it, it's like, look, I'm going to buy it this afternoon. I just want to get the thing done. You're certainly welcome to do that. This link down here, which is launchyourmastermind.com/join. At any point during our training today, you can just jump over there, get yourself registered, and leap into the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day program, which is frankly phenomenal. And you'll get to see and understand how this whole piece works. Now, again, today's training is also intended to be highly interactive, and in terms of that high interaction, because I want to really help you to understand how this applies to you, your business, how you can really roll this thing out. So for that, feel free to type your questions. My team is online as we speak. They will answer those questions. I see those questions. I will answer the questions. If you are willing and able and you want to have a conversation about something, you're certainly welcome to raise your hand. If I've got the time and the space, I will unmute it. We can have a brief conversation. I can share with you what we're doing. Okay, so on that note, who here is ready to learn the fundamentals, the high level of perfect positioning a mastermind in your business? If you are ready to do that, what I'm going to ask you to do is give me a hell yes, so I know that you're here, you're ready, and you're rolling. Let's go for it. I'm ready. Okay, beautiful. So I know that we've got hell yes, bring on the fundamentals. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got a live wire group. I can tell from your comments. That's great. Now here I have a question before I dive in here. That's really significant and important. So how many of you are currently actually delivering a mastermind in your business model? And for the purpose of what we're talking about here, I'm talking about a paid one. I'm not talking about a hobby mastermind. I'm not talking about a study group at the church. I'm talking about people are writing you a check or sending you money to participate in your community. So how many of you are currently running something along those lines? Okay. So just say, I am, if you are. I have mastermind with 6 dream clients. I love that. I'm not sure how to say your name, Jaleh. There's nothing better than dream clients. Just starting one, okay? And how many of you believe that if you could really understand the positioning, how this thing is going to fit, that you could get behind one, you could have one up and running in a matter of weeks? So how many of you are at that spot? It's like, if I really got this, I could make this thing happen. Look out, world, here I come. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I love that. Not certain yet. Got to figure it out. Understood. I can make this happen. Okay, beautiful. So please understand, my objective here is really twofold, and I want to be very clear about the objective. Objective number one is this: to give you enough information and wisdom and experience and tap into my brain so that you can actually make this happen in your life and in your world. And of course, it is to invite you to participate in our Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp, because it is the single most comprehensive turnkey system, from contracts to manuals to agreements to applications to everything you need to know to get the thing done. So I want to do both of those things. All right, so let's jump in. And we're going to talk about, first and foremost, what I call the positioning trifecta. And over again, I think when people aren't quite sure about, so how the hell is this going to work? They are missing some elements of the positioning trifecta. Now, the very first and most important thing is this: you've got to be able to position you as the correct leader of this tribe. And when I mean the correct leader, that doesn't mean that there's a right and a wrong. It's just that your members go, there's somebody I want to follow. There's somebody I admire. There's somebody who I trust. There's somebody who has either created this result or has a bit of wisdom or has access that I don't have. And I know that if I get into his or her tribe, then I'm going to have the capacity of leapfrogging, accelerating, and quite literally bending time to create what it is that I want to create in my life. So make no mistake about it, positioning you is one of the most important and significant pieces. Now, the next piece is you've got to position your group. And time and again, I hear people say things like this: well, we're a group of people who get together to help each other grow and learn. Well, of course you are. That's what the hell else are you going to be? But you have to have an incredibly specific target and description so that people can go, that group's for me. I'm a potential member of that group. Oh, I understand how that's going to go. And then finally, you've got to figure out how your mastermind fits upon your business model. Now, how many people here are interested or like the idea of, or perhaps are in the process of being seduced by the idea of running a premium mastermind? If I can only get 10 people at $25,000 a year, and I know that there are people on here that do some type of mastermind stuff that are like at 7 figures a year, which is beautiful, and I would love to learn more about that. But how many people have this idea of, I want to run something premium by my standards, and it sounds all great? Okay, so here's the thing. I want you to consider that, that might be a great thing to run masterminds at a premium range, and we'll just put lots of dollar figures there. But if you really understand your business model and what's going on, is it might also be pretty fantastic to run masterminds at a low end, and I'm not saying you're the one who has to deliver it. It might also be pretty fantastic to run masterminds in the mid-range. There is a time and a spot and a space for all of these, but you've got to really put some strategy into all of those elements so that you can put it together. I'm seduced about premier, but skeptical. Yep, I get it. Somebody says, I have been in a mastermind and I've never made money with it. Now, does that mean that you've never created a relationship that was profitable or applied something that you learned there that was good? Or does that mean that you've never led one, Joyce? I'd love to have a little bit of perspective on what that actually means. Okay, so today, what I'm going to ask us to do is this, is to spend a moment or two working on how we would position. And today we're going to focus just you and your group. Okay, those are the two pieces. I am not clearly doing all of the content and all of the work and all of the structure that happens in the first module of the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp. I'm giving you some snippets so you can begin to wrap your head around what it means, how it works, and how all of this stuff plays out. I trust that makes some sense to you. I ran a mastermind but wasn't able to find the right price point. Okay. What are the best ways to feed high-end masterminds? What do you think about training courses and workshops to free prime prospects? Those are brilliant ideas, Dawn. I do all of those things and more. Bob saying, I'm not currently intended for income as much as supporting other entrepreneurs and forcing me to learn by leading. Got it? Led but was not set up to make money, and understood. Just fun and okay, I'm with you, gang. Okay, so I want to be really clear about this, is that I'm a fan primarily of paid for masterminds, and time and again I have seen what I'm going to call them freebies or co-led or community-led masterminds, and over again they start out strong and then they falter. And there are a whole bunch of reasons why they falter. It is not rocket science. You can expect them to falter. And we teach why that happens, what you can do about it, and how you can deal with that. But before we get too carried away, what I want us to do is I want us to understand that these are the three pieces, and there's a whole bunch of work around each of these three pieces for you to weave this thing together and create the sweet spot that is unique to you, that is unique to your tribe, and that is unique to your business model, where the mastermind actually becomes this stunning, fun, beautiful, amazing, profitable way for you to leverage your contribution, connect with your tribe, develop community, have a whole heck of a lot more fun, and not work as hard. And each of these elements have to be worked out together so that this fits. Now, somebody had made a point here a little while ago, which is I had a mastermind, but I couldn't get the price point right. And in my estimation, in my experience, and I've been doing this for 25 years, gang, both in masterminds, leading masterminds. I have 40,000 graduates of a personal transformation process. I can tell you for sure that this is not an exact science, right? This is about finding our way. This is about refining the process. This is about testing and tweaking what works. It's one of the reasons why I like Bob's idea of I'd like to beta test and see what the heck's going on. My group, there was not value for us to stay together. I totally get that. So you've got to figure out how to design it such that there is, and I'll talk about that today. Yes, absolutely. So let's get moving and shaking. And let's talk about positioning you. And by the way, gang, I'm going to get you to go through some actual worksheets while we're going through this. And we're going to have some conversations about it. And I'm going to unmute a couple of people, and we're going to work our way through what this actually takes. Now, here is the first part about positioning you, your expertise. Now, you can think about your expertise, or you could think about your results, or you could think about how you are viewed in the world. So what is it that is unique about your expertise that you would like to communicate? Okay, so your expertise. For example, I have a brilliant woman who I think the world of. Now, she's one of a handful of people on our planet of 7 billion. She actually won an Olympic gold medal. Now, she's got a little bit of experience and expertise in becoming the best in the world at something, having incredible focus, engaging in developing support. Now, there are people who have written books. How many of you are great subject matter experts? You've written books, you've got an online course, you've got an online program, you're doing something pretty fantastic. Don, you're ahead of the game a little bit, but so I need to read Don's question to you all, because I think that this is quite fantastic. How do you deal with competition, such as Whiz Bang Johnny? I think I might know Whiz Bang Johnny. Whiz Bang Johnny, who calls his coaching program a mastermind and gets our prospects confused. Okay, well, Don, I just have to address this because I think that this is funny as hell. Because much of what is marketed and sold as masterminds simply aren't. And one of the things that is interesting to me, and it is actually a conversation I was having with my dear friend and partner, Josh, is that as we've been doing this complimentary on-live training for the past couple of weeks for masterminds, teaching masterminds, at the end of the day, we still have a bunch of people who come onto these trainings and their first question is like, what the hell's a mastermind? They really don't know what a mastermind is, or what it looks like, or what it feels like, because they think it's group coaching, or they think it's some large group training thing. So we were actually thinking of doing an additional live training, not just on positioning, but doing an additional live training that will be called this. So what the hell is a mastermind? Because that's the question that we keep getting asked all the time. By the way, if any of you think that's a good idea, tell me, yes, that's a good idea, because people are confused. So going back to this whole element of Whiz Bang Johnny and all of those pieces, is that I'm going to show you a process of positioning that separates you from what most other people are doing, and is going to be really relying on positioning you as a unique leader. Okay, ton of questions flying in here. So I just want to review them, make sure I'm not leaving anybody in the dust. One bestseller, near the second, personal development coach, best-selling author, beautiful. Hip hop meditation. Now that's that I like. That's very cool and unique. And the more unique we can be. Okay, so here's the thing, and I'm gonna get you to do a little worksheet here in a moment or two with it. So you've got to figure out what your unique expertise is. Now, your unique expertise, by the way, is not enough for a mastermind. Okay, so your unique expertise could be enough for a coaching program. Your unique expertise could be enough to design and develop an online course. Your unique expertise could be enough to write a book. Okay, but it is not enough on its own to position you in terms of a mastermind. So here's the next piece, and actually I think it was Jalea who actually said it already, is you must get perfectly clear about the clients that you love. So who are the people, and by the way, that you love and they love you? Because here's the thing about it. A mastermind, which is, and I'm just going to say it just because I know that some people are still a little confused about it, a mastermind is simply this: a small group of people that comes together to develop and to build and to learn and to grow in a particular life area or topic or business area. That's it. So it is an intimate process, though, because we end up coming together, sharing what's going on for us and how this is working, what our trouble spots are, and we begin to focus. And when we do it really well, the mastermind group shares their network, their resources, their wisdom, and their experience for the good of the individuals and for the good of the group. And when that happens, it's magical. Now, when you get really clear about the clients you love, please hear this, and only the clients you love, and we can identify them, like little tidbits that you might not think are so important. But for me to have a mastermind group, one of the single greatest things that I am looking for if I will let somebody in one of my mastermind groups is this: do they have a sense of humor? Because honest goodness, if they can't laugh at themselves, at me, at us, at humanity, at our foibles, at our strengths, if they don't have a sense of humor, I am totally uninterested in having them. Like, I am not going to spend that amount of time with people that I can't giggle with. So you got to be clear about clients that you love. So sense of humor, clients I love, they're all accountable, meaning that they don't invest a bunch of time, effort, energy, whining, bitching, and complaining. I actually wrote a best-selling book called Reframe Your Blame: How to Be Personally Accountable. So obviously that is one of my key values. I love people who are in the process of contribution. So I love contribution businesses and contribution-oriented enterprises more than any other thing in the world. That just lights me up. So these are just some of the pieces that make a difference for me in terms of identifying and really nailing the people that I want to work with. Okay, whole whack of questions again. Do we limit our number of people that join our mastermind? I believe the ideal number, and this is, and I have done them at all sorts of sizes, somewhere between 8 and 12. My favorite is right around the 10 mark. If you're doing remote masterminds, so online, I use Google Hangouts, which means that I'm limited to 9 participants plus me because they cap it out at 10. And that is one of my favorite things under the sun. And yes, Reframe Your Blame is available on Amazon. I think you can get the Kindle version like super, super cheap because they put it on sale and I didn't end the sale. So if you wanted to check it out, you can totally do that. All right. Now, here's the next part in terms of positioning you. Your unique value. And please understand that your unique value is not necessarily the same as your expertise. Now, I'm going to get this, come on, little camper, get my pen back up. Now, sometimes people get a little bit sort of confused about this, but I just want us to be on the same page here. So I have expertise quite clearly in the arena of personal accountability. I have a series of expertise in terms of designing, marketing, delivering programs. I have an expertise in terms of leading and facilitating experiential learning programs, all of those pieces. But my unique value is even larger than that in terms of this. I'll say that what I think my unique value is, and what people pay me for time and time and time again, is number one, well, I'm going to put it in 3 pieces, is that I am a learner, builder, teacher. So what that means is this, is that I have been dedicated to my ongoing learning, and I will be learning it till my last breath on planet Earth. And I love to learn. And the truth of the matter is that I know more shit about random stuff that nobody should probably know or care about under the sun. But if something grabs my fancy and I want to really learn more about it, I don't consider myself having learned it until I can actually build it, until I can bring it into fruition and create it for real in the physical form. And in that process, once I've actually done that, then I feel compelled. And I think teaching is obviously in my genes. Most of my family, if we go back history, are involved in teaching in some way, shape, or form. So this is my unique value, is that I dedicate myself to learning, I actually build it, and then I feel compelled to teach it. And people have paid me for that time and again. Now, the circle that I put around this is, in the process of doing that, I have also developed incredibly powerful community of people who care, of people who are kind, of people that are sharp, and people want to tap into that network and that community of mine, and time and again, they pay me for it. So I hope that this is making some sense to you. So give me a hell yeah if this is making sense. So Marita says, I love that you feel comfortable cursing. It makes it real. You know what? Here's the honest to God truth is I am far too old and far too comfortable in my own skin to ever edit and adapt who and how I am for any reason, under any circumstances, no matter what. And some people love me for it and some people hate me for it. And frankly, both are good. I'm clearly not for everyone. As straight as I can say it. So what happens is, for me, is that I am really clear about my range of expertise, the people that I love working with, and the unique value that I can bring to people. And I am getting better and better and better and better and better at communicating and articulating that, which is why my mastermind groups are all in great demand. Many have waiting lists, and I get to do this as well as a bunch of other things that I love, simply because that's how I design my life. So, how many of you here between expertise and unique value? So Janet, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually put you into the exercise. I have a question here, which is, please distinguish a bit more between expertise and unique value. I'm going to put you into a little writing activity, and I'm going to ask you to actually do it, and then we'll talk about it at the end if that works for you. So here's the deal, gang. And again, a couple of questions about where this comes from, so I just want to fill you in here. So this material is a tiny snippet of the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp, which we have the next round. Well, enrollment is currently open, and the next courses actually kick off October the 6th. And I know that many of you are actually members already. Yahoo, good for you. I'm glad that you're taking advantage of some of the early sneak peek training. That's beautiful. And for those of you that aren't, if you're seriously considering it, my team will put the link in. You can go check it out. Would love to have you. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's start with your expertise. So all I'm going to ask everyone here to do, and what would be really fantastic, gang, is if you're willing to just type it, you can also type it in the little Q&A area, because that would make a monumental difference. What should we do to put? Dawn's asking this. Don't worry about the unique value thing just yet. We're going to do this one step at a time. Don't get the cart in front of the horse. It'll be all fine. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do is this, is I want you to write down your expertise. Okay, so I want 5 of them. Okay, so what are 5 areas where you deem yourself to be an expert? And I want to be clear about this. What I said was, you deem yourself to be an expert. You do not need to be an international best-selling author. You do not need to, come up first in Google, any of those pieces. By your standards, what is your expertise? Now, here's a little hint. One of the assignments that we give you actually in the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp is that sometimes people have difficulty filling this thing out, and we ask them to go and survey the 3 people that are closest to them at home, at work, and in their social life. And you'd be amazed at what people come back and say. Attracting $1 million clients. Mary, I love that. So event management, I'm just going to give people some ideas, because sometimes we get stuck. Knowledge of writing, publishing, and marketing books. media relations, analytical thinker, creative thinker, practical, pragmatic, proactive tax planning, putting more money in your pockets. That's monumental and huge. Industry technology, the mental game of sports. Amber, I love that. I once had a client, just for fun, I think you'll get a charge out of this. I once had a client who at almost 40 decided he wanted to take a run at professional golf. And it was almost all a mental game. And he ended up, I'm not sure what the name of it is. I'm not a big golf follower. We were working on his mental stuff. But basically, he won his flight on the Golf Channel's, I think it's the Pro-Am tournament or whatever it was. Anyway, that's a big deal. Love that. Physician, ICF certified, love that. Expert in occupation and industrial medicine. Okay, so you guys are, okay. Who here needs more time to come up with at least 5 pieces of your expertise? Who needs more time? Just say you need more time. Okay. Gold medal athlete, coach, former trainer. Okay, so by the way, Jan, you are the only other person who I've ever seen use that phrase, and I actually use it in a course that I teach. It's called, she said, bullshit detector, truth teller, expert in soul, spirituality, and energy. I love that because in my introduction to this program called The Gift, I always say, so turn your bullshit detector on high, and everything that you hear and experience here, subject it to your bullshit detector. Of course, even perhaps, well, equally or perhaps more important is also turn the BS detector towards yourself, your own thoughts, your own judgments, your own, all those things. So that's so funny. Okay, so that's point number 1. I want you to keep that handy. Now we're going to move to point number 2. Clients that you love, okay? Their traits, their characteristics, their actions. And one of the easiest thing to do here, just to be perfectly clear about it, is, and people get all wigged out and say, well, what does it mean? So for the purposes of this, because we're obviously just doing, the high level flyby to give you an idea of what we're talking about, is just think of the 3 clients. If you were just to bring to mind the 3 clients that you absolutely love the most, that you like working with the most, what is it about them? Okay, what is it about them? A couple of people here. Clients who can pay. Those are good clients. That's important. But let's also be clear about this, is that, so I had a client that I was doing JV work with. I liked her. She had a sense of humor. We enjoyed wine together, all the rest of them. But you know what? Getting paid from her in terms of the collection process was a royal pain in the ass. I ultimately fired her as a client and a JV partner simply because while we made great money together and we had fun together, the mechanics behind it were so painful that it wasn't worth the money. Just no, we'll just have wine together and we won't worry about the other piece. So that is huge. I love this. Integrity driven, implement now. Deep commitment. Yes. I'll tell you, at the top of the list for me is this, in conjunction with humor, is do the work. It's one of the things where I'm really blessed to have coached quite a number of Olympic athletes. And it was funny, when I first started working with them, the capacity of Olympic athletes to get work done is stunning. Work that I would give one client that would take them 2 weeks and they wouldn't quite be done. Literally, I would finish coaching, and by the time I get back to my office in the late afternoon, it's like, okay, I'm done. What's next? Bring it on. It's like, you can't be done. That was 2 weeks of work. I'm done. Bring it on. So love those pieces. Okay, so we're ask good questions. Creative action taker. Okay, fantastic. Now, I love these thoughts and the writing here. Now, do any of you have, and I'm going to strongly suggest this, by the way, so we're going to take another tweak at this. Most of these are, I'm going to call them difficult to measure. And one of the things I'm going to strongly suggest for you as we're working on this idea of masterminds and perfectly positioning a mastermind is to have some more objective measures as well. So I'll give you got a whole bunch coming up. I'll give you an example. So when I was doing my elite entrepreneur group, is that their net worth was a minimum of $3 million. Some of them were as high as $15 million. But there was a level of financial stability that was important both to us and to the rest of the people in the group. So don't be afraid to put, they've got to be doing 5 figures, they've got to be doing 6 figures, they've got to have X number of dollars in net worth. Hell, depending on the topic of your mastermind, it could be that they are in a working primary relationship, meaning, and that doesn't mean they're married, but it means that they're in a working primary relationship. It could mean that they have more than one child. So one of the things that I want you to understand in terms of clients that you love, don't just look at the emotional component, be willing to also look at the tangible, specific, measurable things as well, because it helps filter faster. Capable of deep insight. I love that. I will often, in my interviewing processes, ask questions that will lead me to know their capacity for metacognition. And if they do not have a capacity for metacognition, I am not interested. I am not backing up the bus that far to play with someone no matter what. Filmmakers who have regular income coming in. Yes, because and filmmakers, I think that's one of the challenging topics for filmmakers is that their income is like up, down, all over when they get an investor, when they get a buyer, there's a lot of stuff that is interesting there. Gang, and I've heard Amber was just talking about having a difficult connection. I want to just give you a couple of hints. Top of the list is this. If you're having difficulty with the connection, you can do two things. Number one, you can just close my little video window. I like having it up because it's more like having a conversation for me, but you certainly don't need that to participate, so you can close that window. It will help bandwidth the bunch. In addition to that, gang, you can also make sure that you close all of your other applications. And on top of that, if you can possibly plug in hardwired to your Ethernet cable or whatever the case may be, it's a whole heck of a lot better than wireless and will get you a more consistent experience. I'm a big believer in this. Tanya just said, life first, career second. They can't be willing to sacrifice everything for their career. Yes, my entire team, shut Skype down too. Yes, my entire team, the grounding is family first. So if something happens with their kids or my kids or something else is going on, clearly we work around that. We figure it out because there are a whole lot more important things than business, masterminds, and money. Let's be clear. Okay, who needs more time to list their top 5 traits of their ideal clients? Okay, we're in pretty good shape. Okay, now here comes the fun one. And this was the question that I was asked a little bit earlier, and I want you to just be perfectly clear about this. What is your unique value? And the best way to think about this is, if I go back to expertise, and I'm just going to scroll back in the line here, just so I can give you a little bit of stuff. Okay. So Liz said she's great at event management and media relations. Okay, those are 2 of the things. Now, I am certain that she is a rock star at both of those things. But if she was going to lead a mastermind, and there was Liz and there was Sally, who is also pretty handy at media relations and pretty handy at event management, why should I pick Liz? So what is this unique value that Liz can bring to me and my community and the other people that are going to be in that group that would make it better than Sally? So this is where I want you to really start understanding and start thinking about, and this is where I think people miss the boat a little bit, because we get too attached to what we can do, when the reality is in a mastermind, we're going much, much broader than that, is not just what we can do, but what we can contribute, what we can connect, what we can add, what we can smoothen and lubricate and speed up. So when we're talking about this idea of positioning you, what is your unique value? So I'm going to give you just a couple of ideas, and then we're going to brainstorm, and then then we're going to have a little conversation about this, okay? So first and foremost is this. So one of the key pieces that I can bring is this. I have personal relationships with a significant number of people in what I'm going to call the internet marketing space, as it overlaps with the personal development and transformation space. They're in my phone. We send silly jokes back and forth. When we're in town, we meet for wine. And a bunch of those people take my calls. And if I say, hey, you should meet Bob and make space for Bob, they do. Okay, so I have connections, but it's not just connections. I have influence with my connections. So that is one of the unique pieces of value for somebody to pick doing a mastermind with me versus a mastermind with someone who, frankly, could be a better facilitator. Hell, they might have more experience. I've been at this 25 years. They might have been at it 30 years, but they may not have the network and the influence that I have. Does that make sense to you guys? So give me a hell yeah if you're following along. Okay, I think so. Hell yeah, a little bit. Oh yeah, got it. All right. So give me some examples of what is additional unique value. So I'll just do another one for positioning me. So I've been an entrepreneur since birth, it seems. I have business ownership experience in an inordinate number of areas. So I'm a best-selling published author in self-publishing. So I know self-publishing. I've owned restaurants. I've owned financial services companies. I own a fair chunk of real estate. I continue to own and invest in real estate. I've got 40,000 people going through a personal development transformation program. I'm a bit of a tech geek at heart. I like figuring out those pieces. So my entrepreneurial experience is incredibly broad. I have worked with startup entrepreneurs who've never made a cent. I have coached and supported the family offices of billionaires. So my range is pretty substantial. So those are things that are of unique value. I happen to be a car guy. So I've been restoring cars since I was 14 years old. In the old days, with my own hands and painting and all those sorts of things. These days, I get shops to take care of that, and I have a penchant for old classic Porsches. So are you beginning to understand that what we're not just talking about when we're doing a mastermind? We're not just talking about, oh, I'm a great accountant or I'm a great facilitator. It is much broader than that. So I'm going to just go through a bunch of the pieces that I want. Pamela says, oh, and I forgot, I do have a massive network. I've acquired prestige for integrity and professionalism. Fantastic. I have a significant number of personal relationships with the top experts in my field, interviewed over 100 of them on my talk show. So Lama, that is brilliant and that is valuable. Knowing what clients don't know that they don't know, that's absolutely incredible. I'm a great listener and do not underestimate the power of that. Other than the cars, we sound like we're a lot alike. RE unique value. The value of having relationships with a wide range of people who contact you via phone, etc. How does one get to that point? If one is introverted and have next to no social connections and just starting out in business coaching? Okay, Janet. So I want to talk about that momentarily. I'm just sharing mine. It doesn't need to be yours. Okay, it does not need to be yours. But we've got to be clear about this, is that you've got to be able to position your process in a way that makes some sense. So I'll tell you the first thing that leaps into my mind, Janet, and I've just got to check timing here. The first thing that leaps into my mind, Janet, is that you could lead a mastermind for introverts who want to expand their network. You would speak their language. You would get them. And you could actually help them while you're helping yourself to build a network of people who are brilliant and perhaps a little bit socially uncomfortable and awkward, that don't want to reach out and do all these sorts of things, but are sick and tired of paying the price of not having a network and connections. So we would address and position the mastermind, and I'm getting one step ahead of myself, around this idea of creating support and a network for introverts who don't find that too much fun or exciting, but know they need to. Does that make any sense to you at all, Janet? Okay, I just want to check it, make sure I haven't missed anything, because our next step, we're going to pull this together here. Literature, music, and okay, beautiful. This is really difficult for me. And Marita, honestly, I'll give you are not alone. And in the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp program, what we actually do is spend a significant and inordinate amount of time on this first module, because most of us can't see ourselves. We can't see the forest for the trees. And it requires feedback. It requires some, and we have a whole bunch of deeper processes for this to pull this out. Because honest to goodness, until you can begin to articulate this and communicate this, the odds of you being successful in launching a mastermind just aren't that grand, as straight as I can say it. It is one of the big trouble spots. It's why we spend so much time, effort, and energy on it in our program. Keith, I absolutely love that in terms of your range of experiences and being a good mediator. That will absolutely serve and support. Okay, so I think we're moving and shaking. Susan says she's brilliant. Of course you are. Do it. And by the way, Pamela says to Janet, do it. I'm a total introvert with a massive network. Janet says, thank you so much. And also, duh, so much a part of me that I can't see it. And that is true for most of us, which is why this process is so vitally important. Oh, Susan says you are. Well, thank you. Can't hear that too many times. Okay, so are there any questions about these three elements of positioning you? And if there are any specific questions about it, ask them now before we move on to the next step, because I want you just to set that all aside, and I want you to recognize that what we're looking for here is this sweet spot. And again, you don't need to be all things to all people, and this is the beautiful part about masterminds, is that you can add strong six figures to your bottom line with a small group of 8 to 12 people who get this piece and value this piece of you, your life, your business, your clients, the same tribe that you admire. All we're after is where these pieces overlap. And once you get where those pieces overlap, and how many of you, by the way, if you just look at the five, set the five things, my expertise, my unique value, and the clients that I love, if you set those five things side by side, for how many of you is it already beginning to point to the overlapping centerpiece so that this makes some sense? Yes, and by the way, Anna just said something I want to share with you guys, which is this. She said, using my testimonials to see what I really bring to the table. If you're having difficulty about your expertise and your unique value, your testimonials will almost always give you some hints. And Anna, I'm just going to say it again because you're brilliant about this, which is this is always more about what potential clients need than what I may think. So I don't know how many of you have been on my other live training, which is called the 3 Massive Mistakes that coaches and trainers make launching masterminds. But over and over and over again, I see people launching masterminds that aren't in alignment with what their tribe wants. It's like, this is what I want to do. And the honest to God truth is their tribe just doesn't care. Okay, so you've got to put it in the perspective of what it is that your tribe wants and needs. Hey, Damon, if you just joined us, I understand. Do your best to jump in. We're moving and shaking here, okay? All right. So on that note, Pamela, I see your hand up. Pamela, did you have a question about how these three fit together? And if so, I will just unmute you briefly, and I'll see what I can do to answer. Hey, Pamela, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Actually, I did not have a question. I'm good.
Yeah, it was an accidental hand raise. If you're at an auction, you'd have bought something, my dear. Sold to Pamela. All good. Let me know if you need anything else. Okay, gang, we're moving on. So this is positioning you. It is the most difficult piece for most people because we have a blind eye and we just don't see ourselves that accurately. It's plain and simple. But when we can begin to own this position, everything gets one heck of a lot easier. Lisa, just going on to this next step, how do you avoid the trap of making the mastermind into a group coaching process? So I want to actually address this just before we move forward, and I'll just show you this next slide because it is pertinent. My slides seem to be having a nap, so I'll just talk about it. There we go. Is this. So in positioning the group, Lisa, we got to be really clear that number one, it is not group coaching. Okay, it is not group coaching. It is not group coaching. It is not group coaching. What we're after, and we determine that primarily by the structure and the design of the group, which again we teach you in the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day program. But the key piece is when we keep it small and intimate enough, and we ensure that this is not a one-way diatribe from the mastermind leader or the coach to the people, that we give them a concept and a tool and a resource, and we put the structure for the group to share their wisdom, experience, network, and knowledge with the rest of the group. When that piece is in place, and we're focusing on small bits of content that help move them forward and integrate, it's actually really quite easy. The truth of the matter is this: the short answer to how you make sure it doesn't turn into a group coaching program is that you design and use a real mastermind structure. Time and again, the groups that get into trouble don't have the structure. And by the way, that is the number one mistake that coaches and trainers make in launching masterminds, is lack of or weak structure. Now, ironically, they don't think that's the case. They think it's a commitment issue. But here's a little news flash. The commitment issue happens in the mastermind because of weak and non-existent structure that the mastermind leader has been flaky about. I hope that that makes some sense to you guys. All right. That defines a high percentage of small business owners' mindset while explaining the inevitable results. Doing what one wants, not what one's clients wants. Hell yes. Okay, so now, ideally, you get a pretty good snapshot of who you are, right? So that was the first piece of the trifecta. Now, let's talk about positioning your mastermind, and we are going to have some fun and entertainment here, my friends. Because over and over and over again, this is the first thing that I get asked by people, and it drives me completely crazy, which is, I'm going to do a mastermind. How much should I charge? Okay, so let me just be as clear as I can with you. If any of you ask me that without doing this work first, I'm just going to kick you out of the webinar. Click. If you, it's like, oh, it ended. Yes, it did. Okay. Don't ask how much you can charge. Ask this question: how much value can I receive? How can I craft an offering that really speaks to exactly what it is that my client wants, the transformation that they need, the transformation they are willing to pay for? And when you figure out what that transformation is worth, then make sure that the price that you charge is 1/10 of that transformation. That's the best way to start with it, from my perspective. It isn't like, okay, I'd like to make $24,000 per person. So what's the least I could give if to get them to pay 24K? That's bull. Okay, so figure out what is the transformation, what is the value point, and then from there, figure out the price point. Am I making any sense to you guys? Perfect pricing strategy. Okay, so figure out the value proposition first, and when we get perfectly clear about this, it will make a yes. There are some really fantastic comments here, some of them including expletives, which I will not repeat, even though I really do appreciate them. They make me smile. Okay, so let's be clear about this. Once I know who I am, if I am the leader of the group, okay, so this is me, this is what I bring, I can begin to deduce a little bit about what I might be able to serve and support with in terms of the transformation. And let's be clear about this. People are joining your group, yes, because they think you're cool. Yes, because they think you're going to help. Yes, because you attracted an amazing group of people. Yes, because you can get them into the Tribeca Film Festival and meet Robert De Niro. Hint, hint, Tanya, I'll pay for that. That is his film festival, right? De Niro? I think so, if I'm not, fill me in. Yes, okay. I'd pay to meet him. If I could do an impression of him, I would do it now, but I can't. All right. So there is a transformation that they want. There's a transformation that they need. And there's a transformation that they're willing to pay for. Okay. So let me give you an example. You know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use the Launch Your Mastermind Fast Track. So the Launch Your Mastermind Fast Track is a mastermind that is 8 weeks long, weekly calls with me, a small group of 8 or 9 people where I help them go from a standing start, no mastermind, before the 8 weeks is over, that they are leading a mastermind. So the transformation is leading a paid-for mastermind group. That's it. Now, there are a multitude of pieces that are required for that to happen, but that is the prime transformation. Does that make sense to you? And there's nobody in that group. Well, let me be clear about this. There are actually people in the group who wanted to get that group or wanted to do that who it's like, well, I don't really want to lead a mastermind. Well, then you're not in it. It's not rocket science, because that is the only exclusive focus that we are going to work on. And as a group and as a team, we are going to support people to get that thing done. So far, so good. Now, here are the traits and characteristics of my ideal member. Okay, this person, number one, has a tribe. Okay, it does not work. If I'm going to do this and support people in 6 to 8 weeks, by the way, the fastest I have ever had it done is 48 hours. I like that one. That was good. But they have to have a tribe. That's the first thing out of the gate. No tribe, the odds of this actually working in that time frame, slim to none. That would lead them to another offering that I have, which is called the Premium Mastermind Mentoring Program. That's 12 months long, where we help them build a tribe for the first 4, 6, 8 months before they pull the trigger and they know that they've got a full group. Okay, so that's a different thing. So they have to have a tribe. The next thing is this, is that they've got to be able to commit time, because they are not going to get this group up and launched without dedicating at least 8 to 20 hours to that process. Does that make sense? Now, the next thing is this. They need to have some experience, and I'm going to call it facilitating skills. But they have to have some experience running a group and managing a group and leading a group. Now, that doesn't need to, they don't need to be certified, all those sorts of things. They could have run a Sunday school. They could, it doesn't matter, but they've got to have some experience in managing a small group to get people moving and shaking. Does that make sense? Do you mean our tribe? What if we need to pivot and go after a new segment or an audience? So Don, if you need to pivot, that's absolutely one thing. And depending upon your tribe, you might be able to use your tribe for the pivot where this could still fit. But that would be something that we would have a conversation about to see if that actually worked. Now, here's the other thing, is that these people need to have fun, meaning that they've got a sense of humor. They need to do the work. So these are all of my initial filters. Does this make sense for you? Tanya was just saying, so what if you don't want your mastermind group to start until January 2016? How does that work with the 8-week boot camp, which would end in early December? It's actually perfect timing. Most of the people who are in there want it faster, but here's my preference, is that starting a mastermind in January is one of the most perfect times of the year to do it. People are in that space of committing, all the rest of it. But here's what happens, is that people who try and launch masterminds in January inevitably think that they're going to, start it right at the end of Christmas or, beginning of December to get it running in January. And that never works because people are overwhelmed. So plan ahead, get the stuff all lined up. You can sell people into the program. That doesn't start until January, but people are ready with the trigger already pulled and committed. So yes, that actually completely fits 1000%. Is it relevant if people know themselves? It is to me, Sally. Okay, so do you understand that this is the transformation? I'm very clear about the transformation. I'm also very clear about what are the initial filtering points. And then the next piece in terms of positioning your group is you got to figure out where it's going to fit. So is this going to be a low? Is this going to be a medium? Or is this going to be a premium? So from my perspective is that the transformation, the fast track mastermind program, I would still actually put at a medium. And even though its price point is $5K, which includes the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp, and then $3K in terms of all the additional training and support that you get. And I'd still put it at medium, simply because, and if you were to amortize that, right, 8 weeks, $5K, but you've got the other program, all the rest of it, it's still incredibly medium priced for the ROI that people create in the program. Because in that process, we help somebody put together 10 people at my tablet is behaving strangely, gang, here, so just bear with me. 10 people at $500 a month is that the ROI is paid for in 1 month, right? And this is something that they integrate into their business model from now until the end of time. Makes perfect sense. So I would still deem that to be a medium price point. So do you understand what we're talking about in terms of positioning your group? Don Matthews was saying beta in 2015, then relaunch for 2016. Depends on the time and the structure of your program. I'm going to give you a little hint, Don. And by the way, if any of you are just trying to test this idea and see how it goes, beta launch it to your tribe. Let them know this is a beta launch. I'm testing this. I think it's going to be a great thing. But instead of $500 a month, you can get it for $197 a month. It's exclusive offer for just 10 people. And it's going to go for this amount of time. And you'll get a preferential price when it comes time to rolling it out in the large scale. So I don't know how long you want to do that. Can you beta just for 3 or 4 months? You absolutely can, Susan. And I'll tell you an error that I made. And by the way, this is one of the benefits of working with me in this process. I will tell you all the things that worked and all the things that didn't work. an error that I made was I designed a creation circle model, which was a 12-month mastermind with personal development tidbits all the way along, and I was simultaneously training new mastermind leaders all at the same time. So I actually designed the beta. The beta was 12 months long. That's a long time to develop something before you can pull the trigger and really scale the thing. And I really do wish that I had looked at it and designed the beta in the perspective of what we were designing and developing. Is it should have been 4 to 6 months. In 4 to 6 months, we could have we know exactly how this thing is rolling at the 4-month mark. We end the beta at the 6-month mark, and we overlap the launch of the formal program for the final 2 months. That's totally how I would do it. Doing it again, because a year of beta testing is one hell of a lot of work. Yeah, that was one of my foolhardy mistakes. Okay, so in terms of positioning your group, are there any questions about how these pieces fit? Okay, now here's what I'm going to ask you to do. We're going to do another little bit of workshop-y stuff here. And gang, just I want to let you know, if you are in that spot, it's like, I know I want to do this. I know I'm going to get this Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp. I want the tools. I want the resources, all the rest of it. You can just go to launchyourmastermind.com/join. So that's launchyourmastermind.com/join. When you get to that page, you'll see that my team is there. You can chat with them. You can pick your payment plans. You can figure out all of the pieces that are significant and important to you. Yeah, Alec, sorry, no. We started about an hour ago. We won't be able to make up all that material for you, but still jump on in and learn what you can while we're here. How do you deal with new members joining halfway through a year-long mastermind? Don, there's an entire process about both bringing in new members and taking members out, and we teach that in great depth and detail in the process. Short version is this: it has to be handled professionally, and there's an entire process to it that we serve and support people with. But here's the thing about this: it isn't as hard as most people make it out to be. Because the truth of the matter is that when you bring somebody in, there's usually a new spike of energy and a new investment in getting to know people and all those pieces. It can be done in a way that is an epic improvement and upgrading of your group, or it can kill it. But we will teach you a way in which it upgrades your group super clean and easy. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do, because here is the next piece. You'll see in your little handouts window there that there's a tag there that is called the Ideal Member Worksheet. Okay, I want you to just pop open the Ideal Member Worksheet. While you're doing that, I'm going to open it up here as well, and we're going to do a little bit of work in this process. Ideal Member Worksheet, where did you go? I'll just open it again, I guess. Okay, so again, this is just a bit of content from the program itself, and I want you just to let me know once you've got the Ideal Member Worksheet open on your computer, just type in open so we're on the same page. I'll give you all a moment to do that. Okay, we're getting there. Moment or two more. And gang, I do know that some people have joined us. So what this is, if you're going like, what the heck am I into? So this is the Perfect Positioning live training, support, and coaching call that takes some segments from the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp, a program that we are just in the process of opening enrollment for. And the most consistent question that we've gotten on our live trainings really is around positioning and how do I position a mastermind and how much do I charge and how do I structure and all the rest of it. So we decided that we would just sort of part the kimono, so to speak, and show you a couple of tidbits and teasers from the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day program. And again, if any of you want to just jump into that program, make the commitment, it is epically stunning. You can visit the Launch Your Mastermind, launchyourmastermind.com/join, which I know my team has put that link in the chat window a bunch of times. You can just click on it and it'll take you over there. Okay, so our ideal members. If I see an error that people make time and again, it is that they have ongoing conversations with mastermind members that, or what they think are potential mastermind members that aren't even in the realm. So part of our program is this. is to get really, really specific about who is your ideal mastermind member. And I really love, and not that I'm, in fact, I was going to say, not that I'm world's greatest fisherman. In fact, I'm probably the world's worst fisherman. I think I was 13 years old before I caught a fish, but I'd been fishing since I was 5. But just think of it from this perspective, is that if you were to start looking at your members like they were 3 different types of fish, and if you are trying to get I can't talk. If you're trying to catch Pacific salmon, but your rig is all for bass or rainbow trout, it's just never going to work. So you need a distinct set of tackle, different lures, different locations to catch. And it is absolutely imperative that you get clear about this. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to play for a moment, just make a couple of notes about who is your ideal mastermind member. So name them, like give this person a real name. Tell me their age. What sex are they? What sort of income do they make? What's their physical location? What's their virtual location? What sort of careers and businesses do they run? What is their physical health like? What do they eat? What do they drink? What sort of physical activity? What sort of personal development and education? Like, what are their technology interests? Like, I want you to really distinguish what this person looks like, where they live, what they're doing, all of those pieces. So that's the first part. Now, here's the part that really makes the difference, because when you're having the conversation with them, is what are their problems and issues? Okay. Now, not just what are their problems and issues, but be really specific about that to what's keeping them up at night. Okay. Now, I want to just use this as a very specific example. So, and I'm just going to keep working with this Fast Track Mastermind program, just because we'll have continuity in the example as we go through this. Jay, could you please give us that link again? I'll type it in actually for you, www.mastermind, launch your mastermind, pardon me. launchyourmastermind.com/join. So there it is in the window again, and you can just click on that, and that will take you over to the purchase page. It'll distinguish all the bonuses, and the bonus package is astounding. My team is also there. You can just a little chat in the window there with them as we're going along. So what are their problems and issues? So let's just use this mastermind piece. So generally speaking, what their problems and issues are for people who are interested in this is that they have a tribe, they have a business, they have a coaching practice, they have clients, but they're suffering from not enough cash. They're spending too much time to get the cash. They're stuck in a one-on-one model, and they're trying to figure out, how the hell do I scale this? I really like this. I love this. I'd like to do more of it, but one more client is not going to, is somebody that I have to deliver to. And they're almost in that spot of, I'm pretty successful, but it's eating me up. So the problems and issues are, generally speaking, in that domain. Now, what keeps them up at night? Well, what keeps them up at night is, how am I going to, is my current client going to renew? Or how am I going to get a couple of more clients to make sure that I make the kind of money that I want? I'm making enough money, but I'm actually not in a spot where I'm starting to save. I'm not in a spot where I'm investing. I'm not in a spot where I'm prepared for my retirement. By what's going to happen with my health. They're starting to really begin to understand that, for the most part, one-on-one coaching is a god-awful business model. And they're trying to do all kinds of other things, by the way. So they're trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get my online course? Because that will, break the time for money buying. They're trying to write a book. They're going to conferences, trying to figure out the internet. They just bought lead pages. They're on Infusionsoft, and they want to kill somebody because it's so damn complex. These are the things that are keeping them up at night. So do you understand what I'm saying in terms of the description? So a couple of people said, oh yes, you just described me. I know. I so know that, by the way. As I said, this is not my first canoe trip. I've been at this for 25 years. I know the battle. So what are they spending their money on? Okay, so they're spending their money on technology. They're spending their money on websites. They're spending their money on training. They're spending their money on a whole bunch of things that, over and over again, in my estimation, as I begin to work with and talk with people about this, is they're spending money on a bunch of things that, for the most part, actually put more distance between them and their ideal client for a mastermind. So just think this through, is that Infusionsoft, which by the way, I'm a trusted advisor, I'm a huge fan, I use it, all those pieces. But when the person who actually could be out building relationships, having lunch or coffee or tea or a glass of wine with someone who might land in their mastermind, is trying to figure out how to connect lead pages to Infusionsoft, and they're not out actually having a personal relationship, we have a problem. And that problem costs us money. And there's a simple solution, which is do personal relationships and get people into a group where they get the sense of community, they get the sense of support, they get to create what it is that they want to create, and you get paid 8 or 10 times every time you're with them instead of just once. The leverage of this is increased scale. In fact, Glenn, I just love how you said that. So a mastermind provides increased scale of problem solution, leverage for both the leaders and its members. Hell yes, that is exactly it. Okay, so then we got to figure out what are they spending money on. And by the way, a little sidebar to this is one of my ongoing marketing strategies that I'm going to pursue is this. I want to negotiate getting access to the list of every Infusionsoft client who wants to cancel. That list are my peeps. I could help them leave the technology aside and get in front of 8 to 10 people that they can have a real relationship with and actually build a real business with. Okay, anyway, I went on a tangent. I will bring myself back. But how many of you, just in all seriousness, how many of you actually get what I'm talking about? That this is the reason why we want to do this. Joey, no. So Joey had a question. I'll answer it just so this doesn't go sidetrack. Why is the mastermind solution to understanding Infusionsoft, for an example? Surely it'd be more a specific training program, a solution rather than a mastermind where the other members wouldn't know how to work with Infusionsoft. So Joey, you missed my point completely. So let me just say it again. I know that the people who are so frustrated with their business and their online strategy that they want to cancel Infusionsoft, I know that they are primed for a different solution, which could be far more relationship oriented. And the mastermind process would have nothing to do with Infusionsoft. It would have to do with how would we get you into a business where, and by the way, I'm still a fan, obviously, where we could put you in a business where you get scale, but it is with relationships, not necessarily with technology. Hope that makes more sense. Okay, yeah, okay, got it. All right, so you want to know who are they hanging out with. So we can often target our mastermind members simply by association, and you want to know what clubs and associations they are members of. Now, here's a little hint: elite entrepreneurs. So net worth somewhere between $3 million and $15 million. Guess where I found many of those people? Remember I told you that I have this little car penchant and I like restoring old cars? Chamber members are, and I'm going to speak for Calgary only, Don. Chamber members are horrible locations for my target, because the truth of the matter is that that target at 3 million to 15 million, they don't go to chamber meetings. They send somebody in their staff to go to chamber meetings. They're too damn busy doing whatever it is they want or what they think they need to do to build their business. Never find them. Wine clubs, actually not bad. So the Porsche Club of America, the Ferrari Club of America. Most of the people who are in those groups are entrepreneurs who have been busting their ass for 5 to 15 years, have finally gotten to a spot where they feel like they deserve to reward themselves, and they're going to reward themselves with a car that they think is significant and important, and they want to meet other people who go through that process. And in that scenario, usually, I shouldn't say usually, but often there's been some sort of like crystallizing experience. So a partner got bought out, or there's a little lump of cash there. Golf clubs can be a great one when targeted properly. Barrett Jackson, that place is just batshit crazy, to be perfectly frank. But you're thinking the right way. So once you understand what clubs and associations they're members of, what do you do? Yacht club, yes. So what do you do? Get yourself invited. Yes, get yourself invited. Join, do whatever is necessary. Get your butt in there to begin to build relationships, because those are the people that you're going to reach out to. Those are the people that you're going to send a silly joke on that is going to resonate with them. You build relationships with them. Because over and over again, I hear people say, it's like, well, I don't have access to those kind of people. Get off your chair, figure out where your people are, and get your ass over there and say hello. This is not rocket science, my friends. But I think what happens is that we get stuck behind our computers and get lost. Okay, gang. So we only have about 22 minutes left here. So I want to get hustling here. How important is it to suit up? It depends on the group that you're going to. Attending the Ferrari Club of America and the Porsche Club of America, for the most part, sandals, shorts, and a t-shirt. That's the suit. So, but you've got to figure out what is appropriate in that process. Okay, I'm going to go through this really quick. What are the books and magazines they're reading? Are there any recent events that they may be dealing with, such as birth, death, divorce, business sale, empty nesting, illness, parents' illness, all of those pieces. So this worksheet really helps to zero in on, who your target is in terms of your mastermind. When they're 150 feet away, you can say, there's one. Because you're in the right place, you understand what they're thinking, you understand why they're showing up, you understand their language, you understand what they're working towards, you understand what their issues are, and you present your mastermind in that process. Facebook ads can work, and think of it from this perspective, is that Facebook is simply the most powerful and inexpensive targeting process in the universe. And you know what? Even just 10 years ago, it would have cost you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and a relationship with like Nielsen's to get the amount of data that you can get fundamentally for free on Facebook. So depending on your targeting, Facebook can be stunning, and we use it pretty aggressively. Okay, so do you understand how well I need you and want you to know who your target is in terms of positioning your mastermind? Amber says this: I always end up writing about myself when I'm trying to write about my ideal group members. Any ideas on how to avoid that? Yes, actually, and this is actually an activity from the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp, which is this. If you are beginning to, and I think Donna talked about a pivot and trying to really get into the head and the heart of people that you're trying to target. So here's the thing, and Amber, this little tidbit is worth its weight in gold, just as clear as I can say it. It is this: go interview people, survey people who you believe are in your market, so you can get inside their head and you can start writing from their perspective. Which, by the way, little tidbit to this: everyone in the universe likes to be interviewed because we want to be special. For what it costs for you to have a Google Hangout show or a podcast or a platform to interview people and get into the heads and the hearts and the minds of your target audience, that's one of the most brilliant things under the sun. So you got to get outside of your own box to do that. Make sense? If one location, should we go after various business types dealing with similar problems? That's what I have done in the past, Don, and it works reasonably well. But keep in mind that you can run these things online. You can use Google Hangouts, you can use Zoom, you can use GoToWebinar. There's a whole bunch of ways in which you can do this where you're not tied to a single location. But if you were, then we would want to figure out what that theme is. Okay, any last questions about this idea of the ideal member worksheet? Obviously, you can download that, all of those pieces. Okay. Now, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, gang. And, actually, we just had a request for that link again. So, team, if you could put in the link for people to register in the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp, that would be great. So that's launchyourmastermind.com/join. And just get yourself over there, get yourself registered. We will knock your socks off, I promise. This is such a tiny snippet of what we do, but it is an important one. Now, over and over and over again, I hear people ask this question: well, how do I describe it? How do I talk about it? All the rest of it. Well, one of the tidbits that we teach is a filtering process. You're very welcome, Glenn. Is a filtering process. My socks are off, Derek says. So glad I joined. Well, good for you. I'm so thrilled you did as well. What do you think of meetup groups to find mastermind members? I know that it's possible, and Kathy, there has to be a really great strategy that is going to transition from a freebie show up into a paid process. And I actually teach a process called Fill Your Masterminds with Ease. That would be, I would call it like a higher end, more intimate and structured process with some filtering and tap on the shoulder piece that I think what I would do is you could do the broad meetup, see if there's any, people that click, tap them on the shoulder for what we call wine conversations and cash, which is a fill your mastermind with ease event, and then get to the depth of what that transition might look like. So I know it's totally doable. I have never been to a meetup myself, so I'm a little bit ignorant about that process, but I know a little snippets about it, and I know some people who have tried it and had difficulty with the transition. So do the meetup, but with a transition strategy. Dawn, it depends on the topic. So I want to read Dawn's thing because it's really important. So I want to attract both men and women, but what would you do if females feel that I wouldn't understand them or that they're better off joining a mastermind led by ladies? And how would you deal with those objectives? Dawn, I don't know the answer to that until I heard more about the positioning of your group. So we would like to help physicians, but time is their issue. Okay, so Liz, so let's just talk about, and I'm going to do the framing of the conversation, and then you've got to figure out how that goes. So if time is the issue, then my question is this: how do you position the mastermind in such a way that it is incredibly high value for them, such that they are willing to trade their time? And how do you bundle it in such a way that trading that time makes sense? So I'm going to give you a quick little hint before we do this next piece. Oh man, we got to hustle, okay? So our elite mastermind, our elite entrepreneurs, they had time as an issue. So these are people that had built big businesses, doing pretty darn well, but they were still sort of owned by their business. And they were buying lifestyle for their family. So their family would be at the lake all summer long, water skiing and enjoying the sun, and they're still working. Not so much fun for them. So part of our positioning was, we are going to build a retreat model, which means that 4 times a year, we're going to travel somewhere cool. So we'll go to South Africa, we'll go to Telluride, we'll go to Paris, we'll go all over the world. And what it helped them do was to say, hey, number 1, I'm going to get out of the business. I'm going to get some distance. Number 2, I'm going to actually get to enjoy myself. Number 3, we're going to drink great wine while we do this. Number 4, I'm going to have an adventure that I can, be the most interesting guy at the cocktail party afterwards. So the time piece, Liz, I would try and figure out how can you build that in a way that is significant to them. So my first thought would be, try and build it in so there's a weekend, and you position it in such a way that the weekend happens after a 4-day holiday in Maui that the doctors can take their kids. So build it into something that is high value for them. Can they spend time with their families? Because that's obviously an issue. Can they spend time with their families? If this is when their actual holidays are, then let's build these two things together. Let's give them a reason to have another holiday in the year, which is to get away. Does that make sense to you, Liz? Okay, so let's move on to the sample discussion script. Now, this sample discussion script, I think, is epically simple and incredibly powerful. Now, there are some assumptions. Okay, assumption number 1 is you're not having this conversation with someone that is not in your ideal member profile. Okay, so that's why you have to do that member profile first. Now, the next piece is this person has expressed to you, or you have knowledge that they could benefit and are interested in the outcome and the results of your group. So, for example, I'm just going to go down this road of that's good. So, Liz, I just have to share this because it makes me laugh. Perfect. Thanks so much. Talk about brilliant, you. Stroke my ego. Flattery will get you everywhere. But in all seriousness, both for Liz and a couple of the other people, is that if those little positioning pieces are valuable to you, for crying out loud, jump into the program, because you are targeting doctors. Your value proposition is going to be high. And for the small price of what the Launch Your Mastermind program is, your ROI will be tens of thousands of percent. I will share with you an entire process that will make that positioning and that execution flawless, and they will be chasing you like mad. So simple, clean, and easy. Okay, so you know that there's going to be interest in that process, and you have at least some knowledge of one another so that you have space for a meaningful discussion. Okay, so here's the overview. If somebody says, so, I heard you're running this group, or you've gone through the, this is for you if, this is not for you if, and they're like, hey, I'm your peeps. That's totally, you're talking about me. So here's the structure to the sentence, or to the overview, which is this. Well, I lead, and I always say this, an exclusive, intimate, and powerful group of, and then you insert what that role is. Self-made millionaires is a nice one if you have that target. Tech courageous entrepreneurs. So I run something called the Online Business Breakthrough, where bricks and mortar businesses that are doing strong seven figures are trying to get their online processes working. So I call them tech courageous because they're kind of clueless, but they really want to figure it out. So of tech courageous entrepreneurs who are, and then this is where we have them, figuring what that behavior is, what the promise of the group is, who are passionate about creating real long-term joint venture relationships, who are doing an online launch in the next 12 months, who are committed to mastering online marketing, or obviously in the case of the Mastermind Fast Track, who are dedicated to running mastermind groups and getting them up and running in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Now, here's the next piece. If you know that this is true, now I believe you may be a perfect match for this group. And I know that this group can, and this is where you begin to build the promise. This group can build your list and relationships. This can get your mastermind up and running in 4 to 6 weeks. This group can, you insert the blanks, whatever it's going to do. And then you ask the question. So would you be interested in having coffee, having a Skype meeting, attending a casual mastermind meeting with like-minded people? That is the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease event that we teach you how to do. Or watching a webinar that would tell you more about it to see if there's a potential fit for your group. I have a real sense that you'd be a valuable addition to my group and that it would make a monumental difference for you, your business, your life, your kids, your health, insert appropriate, and away we go. Now, if there's sort of, on the fence, it's like, well, let's just be clear. This is not for you if you aren't committed to getting your mastermind up and running right away. This is not for you if you don't have the time to commit to it. This is not for you if you're a dilettante sticking your finger in 1,400 things, not getting anything done. But it's totally perfect for you if you are committed to leveraging your contribution to your tribe. It's totally for you if you're tired of working so goddamn hard. And this is 1,000% for you if you want to tap into the experiences and the resources of somebody who's been doing this for 25 years. Let's book a time. We'll talk further about it and see if you're a fit for the group. So, does this template make sense to you? Would the phrase "who are struggling with" be appropriate? 1,000% it can be appropriate, particularly if we're talking about, and by the way, I helped somebody build a framework around a group for ADHD, and it was appropriate for people who are struggling with ways to get through to their kids and have some sanity in their house. So you can totally use that, Damber, for sure, for sure. When you've done this script, could you cover how you'd tweak it for promoting your first mentor group, i.e. it's all future facing? Actually, Derek, I don't think that I would. I don't think I would tweak it at all. I lead this group, and you do lead that group. Even if you only have one person behind you, you're leading a group. Even if you haven't had a meeting yet, you're still leading a group. I would just keep it short, sweet, and to the point. You have a not for you list if page. You mean a worksheet for that? I don't have a worksheet for the it's not for you if page, but I could certainly give you a couple of samples. So you know what your not for you if is. Yes, I started with we quickly grew to 8. Yeah, exactly. It goes fast. Right on. I'm great with people. Not great with technology. So far, I see that in your ideal client because I need to grow my tribe, make some money and join you, feel empowered from what you shared last night and today. Thank you so much. You're totally welcome. So gang, what I want to do is this. First and foremost, has this positioning piece been helpful and meaningful to you? And if it has, give me a hell yeah. That's a lot of hell yes. Fantastic. Extremely. Yes. So here's the thing, is I just need you to understand that this is a tiny, tiny, tiny snippet of a 6-module program that I'm going to share with you. And I want to just, number one, invite you because registration is on now and you have the capacity and the ability to get some really phenomenal and astounding bonuses. So I just want to go through that when this starts. So it launches on October the 6th with a program that we call Mastermind Essentials, which I'll tell you about more in a moment or two. And then what happens is we have a welcome call on the October the 13th. Everything is recorded. So if you miss something, there's always the capacity to go back, listen to the recording, all the pieces. But we've also added 3 3-hour trainings that are designed for our tribe in Australia, French Polynesia, all over God's green earth, so that you can always get access to my brain. Okay, so I can tweak with what your positioning is, how that's going to look, how that's going to play out, all of those pieces. So in fact, you get 10 calls with me, and 3 of them are actually 3-hour makeup calls. So you get to have my attention on your process. Now, here's the thing about this. What makes that access to me so fantastic is that my one-on-one rate starts at $25K. And I know for a bunch of you on the line, that's a drop in the hat. And if you wanted to have that conversation with me, you could reach out to me and we could perhaps have that conversation for the fastest way to get this up and running for you. Now, you don't need to pay anywhere near $25,000 for the Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp. And by the way, there's the link again, which is launchyourmastermind.com/join. You click that button, it'll take you over to the page. But here's the thing I want to let you know. For the first 20 people, okay? So we're at about 165 people on the line. And I know that a whole handful of you have already bought, which is congratulations and a brilliant choice. For the first 20 people on the training only, these are the bonuses that you get, because I'm a big believer in give people a really fantastic reason to trust their instincts and to act. And for those of you who have been going, oh my God, I got to do this. Hell yeah, this really helps. Thank you for the clarification. If any of those statements hold true for you, then good God, get your ass in the training, as clear as I can say it. So here are your bonuses, and they are epic incentives. Number 1, the ticket to the Mastermind to Millions live event. That event is in Vegas on December 4th through 6th, and it is the experiential in-person version of the 6 elements of our program. And the 6 elements of our program, actually, I didn't go through all of them over there, but I'll tell you what they are. The first of which is perfect positioning. You've seen a snippet of that. The next of which is personal evolution, being the leader that your tribe wants to follow. The third of which is fill your mastermind with ease. Now, how do I get that actually in and working? The fourth is commitment, because getting somebody in the mastermind and keeping them, and I have clients for 20 years, is 2 totally different things. After commitment is facilitating skills, and this is epically important. You've got to be able to run a group. And then the final is creating compelling content. Okay, so those are the 6 pillars. And every single one of those pillars is addressed in the live event, and we've got stunning speakers, breakout sessions where you'll actually build out a ClickFunnels campaign, where you'll actually get facilitator training and a hot seat experience. We do a ton of work like that. You'll also get the Mastermind Essentials training. So that's that October 6th 4-hour training, which is all about beginning and the end in mind. So the ticket to the event is $997. Mastermind Essentials training is $497. The power of mission. Now, if people get stuck on positioning over and over and over again, what transpires is that you get this power of mission training that aligns your personal and your corporate mission together, and it's worth $497, and it is epically good. It will help tremendously if you get stuck in that. And then business models that work. You know, when we were doing the 3 circles and the positioning of the low, middle, or high end, you don't know where to position your mastermind yet until you go through the 6 elements of business models that work and you figure out how this is going to work. There is a place at the low end, there's a place in the middle range, and there's a place at the high end, and they are not mutually exclusive. You'll find out why. And now, 6-figure launch secrets. We are getting pretty darn fantastic, if I must say so myself, at this online launch process. And we've got more and more clients asking us, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? So we put together an online training for the overview of the big pieces, $497, incredibly powerful. Now, if you choose to pay in full, we actually have a one-on-one coaching session that steps you through a bunch of the pieces for perfect positioning so that you launch your mastermind out of the gate really raring to go. And that's a $497 value. Now, you might be sitting there going, I'd really like to do this, but I'm not quite ready. I'd really like to do this, but I don't have enough time. I'd really like to do this, but I have one last bonus for you. And this is a fast action bonus. Again, only 20 people are going to get this bonus. You got to hustle your ass to get it. And it is a dear friend of mine. His name is Josh. He's a business partner of mine, young kid, travels the world, climbs mountains, does cool stuff, and through his personal Facebook page makes $15,000 to $20,000 a month simply using positioning in a way that I have never seen before. It just is phenomenal. And if you're going to do masterminds and you want to reach that proper tribe, that program is worth its weight in gold. So here's the deal. You get all of those things. The bonuses are worth $4,479. You get them all free. It is $1997 for all of it when you register before 4 p.m. Pacific. Now, 1997, and I want to be very clear with you, is that one of the ideas that I have shared with you here, if you're going to roll out a mastermind, frankly, will make this 100 times over, like 100 times over. All you need to do is this: have your positioning done, have those conversations, and begin to build a group. And even if the group is way, way, way down at the low end at $97 a month, which, by the way, I wouldn't recommend any of you do a live in-person group for $97 a month unless it's a beta. But even as a beta, if you do that, you get one group of 10. In 2 months, the entire course is paid for, and your ROI is, if you do the math, follow the thing all the way through, your return on investment is almost $12,000. Almost $12,000. So that's at the low end. If any of you do just one group in the mid-range at $500, the reality is this: your first month that's up and running, you make $5,000. You're already in the first month at 250% ROI. So I trust you begin to get the significance of this. So you're not signing up for a course. What you're doing is you're signing up for a business model that will transform how you do business. Now, I've had a bunch of people asking about the some people who've already registered are asking about bonuses. So the bonuses will be released when the whole program goes live. So we'll take care of that, I promise. The other piece that I want you to know about that is if you want the extra attention to just accelerate the process and do the fast track program, that's simple and easy. All you need to do is this. On the little page, you can ask the people who are on chat to connect you with one of our mastermind mentors, or you can simply put in your phone number here. And when you put in your phone number here, one of my team members will call you, talk with you, and share all of those pieces. Josh, I was just thinking you could probably also even just share the page for that, and I can put it in as well. I know that you're busy with chats there. launchyourmastermind.com/fast track. And I'll just send that to everyone here as well. So you can just jump on there. We'll take good care of you and make sure that fits perfectly. So gang, that is the high-level version of perfect positioning. This is my invitation to you. I would love for you to take advantage of it. You just click launchyourmastermind.com/join, and we'll take great care of you. Now, it is exactly 3:30. I'm totally cool with hanging out for a few minutes extra to answer specific questions about how you can apply masterminds to your particular audience. If any of you are on the fence and you want to just figure out how this might work or any of those pieces, just let me know. I'm happy to have a brief conversation with you. Actually, we've got a whole bunch of questions firing. Let me just take a peek here. Some not for yous, yes. So I can share a couple of not for yous, absolutely. Okay, this has helped tremendously, helped clarify some basics. You're absolutely welcome. So here are some not for yous. I'll actually show you a site where I use it. So my core business is a personal transformation company that is called, come on machine, oh, my machine, there we go, just cancel. That is called The Creator's Code. And I'm going to just show you. And we'll get that down. So the Creator's Code, we do personal transformation work. And I was sick and tired of dealing with people who wanted to talk about transformation but not want to actually do it. So here's some examples. This is not for you if you intellectually know all this stuff already and you think that's good enough. Please share your knowledge here. We actually send them off to Wikipedia, which you're not supposed to do that, but we do it anyway, because we want to be clear that's not who we want to work with. This is not for you if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme instead of personal evolution. Here's a tip that's called the lottery. This is not for you if you like to shop for personal development but don't want to use it. You've got books that you haven't read, courses you haven't paid for, courses you've paid for but haven't taken, and you still don't know what's missing. And this is not for you if you're not willing to do the work even when someone is lovingly kicking your ass and supporting you. We're happy to refer you elsewhere. And we send them off to Walmart, where surely they can buy their happiness at a discount, both in Canada and the US. Or, I like this one, it makes me laugh, you can just go buy the Chimera Magic Wand because it's a miracle. It will change everything in your life and you don't have to do anything at all. So those are examples of my smart ass and smart aleck approach to this idea of it's not for you if. But by the way, I've also had people look at this is for you and this is not for you. Just say, I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to do it because I appreciate your sense of humor and how you deal with this. So does that help clarify for you, Whitefire? Beautiful. Okay. So here's the thing. The not for you, and I want to be very clear about the not for you. You know you're not for you. Okay. So you are the one who is drawing those boundaries. You are the one who is helping people filter themselves out and say this is or this isn't. And if it is, and gang, I want to be super clear about this. If it is for you, strategic cynicism, I love it, Glenn says. If it is for you, then you need to figure out a way to get past your considerations to step up and leverage. And I guess I just want to say this because I've got some questions and some people, and I want to say this to you in the kindest way possible, but I also, want to call a little bit of bullshit, which is this. We've got a whole bunch of people on the line here who you serve other human beings, and you are coaches and consultants in some way, shape, or form. And your job is to help people overcome their stories and their limitations and their blocks and their barriers. So when I see those kinds of, it's like, oh, I couldn't possibly because of not enough time, or I don't have enough money, or some version of that. It's like, doctor, heal thyself. And what I mean by that is, if you want it, you are some of the most powerful and sharp and conscious people on the planet Earth. So you can negotiate payments. Ask my team. You can negotiate time. Talk to what's going on in your life and in your world. You could call in support. Because here's the thing. If it is your task and if you're trying to attract into your mastermind committed people who are going to find a way, and if you say you want this, then you're a committed person, you need to find a way. Am I making sense to you? And I'm not trying to say that from a condescending space. I'm just trying to say it from this space of every single person on this call, if you want it. Let's be clear about that. If you don't want it, that's all good. If you want it, there's a way. It's not a bunch of money. And in fact, you could earn, I have clients who've done it in 48 hours, 4 and 8. 48 hours have generated positive ROI in 48 hours. So that's my invitation. Handle the consideration, be one of the 20 and get those bonuses, because frankly, even if it sounds crazy, even if you didn't do the program and you just came to the live event and you did all of the bonuses, you would get 10x the value of the course. Remember I was talking about pricing and 10x? If you just did that. So gang, if you have any questions or you want to clarify anything, now is the time. I have about 5 minutes left, and I'm happy to be of support. And this could be about questions about the program and how it fits. This could be about how you're going to apply this and roll out your positioning. Any or all of it, I am thrilled to answer with. If you raise your hand, I'll unmute you and we'll chat. Yes, of course you can type it. Somebody says, well, what if I just want to type it? So Ed, yeah, I love what you just said. Is I find my tribe is not always the most positive, and there's always a reason why things can't be done. I don't want to be like that. So Ed, I so love that. And if I may make a suggestion to you on that note, one of the key pieces about this is to call that out and to have a conversation about it. Because let's be clear about this. We all have excuses. And that's why I wrote my book, Reframe Your Blame, is that whole piece is about facing and seeing the excuses that we create. And excuses have a really important, they claim an important piece of our human and mental well-being. And I want to just take a moment to talk about this, because here's what an excuse does, is it helps keep us sane. Because when we say this is what we want in our lives, so we want to be financially free, we want to make a global contribution, we want to run a mastermind group, we want to take 2 months off to play with our family, we want to whatever it is. So that's what we say that we want. But then we look at our reality and it's like, yeah, I'd like to be a millionaire, but it's tough to come up with 1997 for this program. We have to have an excuse to make sense of that, or our belief system, the cognitive dissonance, will drive us batshit crazy. So excuses play an important role, and that role is, number one, to keep us sane and to keep us stuck. So one of the very first things that I would ask you to consider role modeling, Ed, for your tribe, is to call out the role that excuses have and to be very clear and specific about the conscious risks to put the excuses in their place. Because here's the reality: whatever excuse it is that's getting in your way and getting in the way of your tribe, we all do this. We copy and paste. Our belief system finds an excuse that works, and it's like, oh, okay, well, when I need to be safe, I just insert that excuse. Don't have enough time. Don't have enough time. Don't have enough time. Don't have enough time. Don't have enough money. Don't have enough money. Don't have enough. Not smart enough. Not good enough. Not tall enough. Not skinny enough. Not whatever the hell it is. And to really claim our power as human beings, we must break those excuses. That's what that entire book I wrote is about. I totally get that. Susan, I so understand that whole piece of just enrolling another program 2 weeks ago. Let me say something to you that I hope makes a difference, because it's not in any of this documentation, but it's a really important point, which is this. Our programs have lifetime access. So what that means is there's a whole bunch of alumni that were, quite some time ago were in the beta, then a whole bunch of alumni that just finished their program. Everyone gets full access for the life of the program. So what that means is a bunch of the alumni are coming back to the calls because, like, well, I started my mastermind group, but then I had this problem participant. What am I going to do? So you actually have lifetime access. So one of the things that I might suggest to you is, if you want to get the wheels under the bus, if you have a mastermind in your 2016 plans, do this. Register for this program, strategically get the positioning stuff done and the fill your mastermind with stuff done. That is not the entire program, but get all of those pieces done so you can begin to market the mastermind to launch in January. And then in the January program, you jump full on in about the management and the commitment and the long-term structure of leading the masterminds. Because there's really two segments, one of which is the positioning, the filling, and the marketing of the program. Then there's the delivery, the maintenance, the commitment, and the ongoing process. So take the portion of the program that gets you positioned for your mastermind in 2016, do the management piece in the 2016 program. And that way you get the best of both worlds in terms of the two programs and have them work together. Ellen says, I'm going to do it. That's a brilliant decision. Take the leap. You will love, love, love it. Beautiful. All right, my friends. I must get on with the show. My tallest one, who's 9.5, just got home, and we're in Canada, which means, and it's fall, which means it's hockey season. Yay, hockey everywhere. So I want to just end with this particular process, which is this. Trust yourself. I give you my word that this program will be the best program that you have ever done in terms of our personal attention, in terms of your access to me. I do all of the calls, in terms of the experience to get this thing up and running. We have a full 30-day money-back guarantee, which means if it doesn't meet your expectations in any way, shape, or form, no questions asked, we refund your money. Simple, clean, easy. Truth is, I don't need your money. I do this because I like it. I love it. It's something that I am gifted at, and I want to share it. So the reality is, make a commitment to you. Make a commitment to making your life and business easier in 2016, and we will knock your socks off and help you. So have a fantastic day. I trust that was supportive, and if you need anything at all, reach out. Thanks, tremendously giving and valuable. You are so, so, so welcome. Do us a favor as well, by the way. If you know somebody who should be doing this, hell, share that little link that, the launchyourmastermind.com/join. Send it off to other people, because God knows this could ease the burden for a multitude of people. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We will talk soon. Bye-bye.